Hey guys, this time we will be talking about the Profunda femoris. Now, the Profunda femoris artery is the largest branch of the femoral artery, and I will point out both these structures in this diagram. Now, this is basically an anterior view of the thigh. So, over here we have the external iliac artery, and as it crosses behind the inguinal ligament, it becomes the femoral artery. And as you can see, part of it has been cut, and for what reason I will illustrate in a while. So shortly after, the external iliac artery has become the femoral artery, and to be more exact, 4 centimeters below the inguinal ligament, the profunda femoris artery is given off from the femoral artery, and it is given off on the lateral side of the femoral artery. This is the femoral artery, this is its medial side, and this is its lateral side. So hopefully this is clear, and this origin is right in front of the iliacus muscle. What happens next? As we know, the femoral artery is in the femoral triangle formed by the inguinal ligament, the sartorius muscle which has been cut, and lastly we have the adductor longus, which we have somewhere over here. Let's see where the adductor longus is. Here it's been cut. One end is over here and the other is over here, right? So this branch is not or does not remain in the femoral triangle and does not continue into the adductor canal. Rather, it leaves the femoral triangle by passing deep to the medialmost boundary of the triangle, that is deep to the adductor longus. As you can see, the adductor longus has been ripped apart and we can see the artery beneath it. Secondly, we have removed part of the femoral artery to make the profunda femoris visible, because along its course, the profunda femoris, in this part where the two are together, it becomes posterior to the femoral vessels, that is the vein and the artery. So outside of the femoral triangle, this artery, this branch, carries its root in between initially the adductor longus and the adductor brevis, and then between the adductor longus and the adductor magnus. My apologies. Firstly, after leaving the triangle, it continues its route between the adductor longus and the adductor brevis, and then between the adductor longus and the adductor magnus, and the artery eventually terminates by piercing the adductor magnus in order for it to reach the posterior end of the thigh. This is the anterior, the one on the opposite side would be the posterior, and to anastomose with the upper muscular branches of the popliteal artery. Right, so this was the course. Now let's talk about the branches. It has a total of 6 branches. This over here beneath the nerve is I believe this is the lateral circumflex femoral artery, and this one over here is the medial circumflex femoral artery. If we continue with the lateral first, the lateral circumflex femoral artery passes between the anterior and the posterior divisions of the femoral nerve, right? It then passes beneath the sartorius muscle. This is the sartorius, and if this were complete, the artery would have been underneath it. And then it passes between the rectus femoris muscle. This is the one over here. And then it basically divides into 3 further branches, which are of some importance. So what are the name of the branches? The branches are so named. We have an ascending, we have a descending, and we have a transverse. Now we'll talk about each of these separately. Right? So this, my friends, is the ascending branch. As you can see, its course. The ascending branch passes deep to a muscle, that is the tensor fascia lata. And then what does it do? It takes part in the trochanteric anastomosis along with the superior gluteal artery. We also have this transverse branch of sorts, and we have a descending branch. And if you see where the vastus lateralis is located, things will become clear to you. It's over here. So the descending branch passes, this is the vastus lateralis, passes on the anterior border of the vastus lateralis. Descending on the anterior, my policy is the anterior surface of the vastus lateralis muscle. It should be easy to remember because this is the lateral circumflex and the vastus lateralis is the lateral most of the three vasti muscles. This should also be remembered, the fact that this branch, descending branch, goes between the tensor fascia lata. Another thing of importance is that in addition to taking part in the trochanteric anastomosis, right, it also supplies branches to the hip joint, in addition to the great trochanter, in addition to partaking in the trochanteric anastomosis. And this over here is the transverse branch, and as you can see, this transverse branch, it actually pierces the vastus lateralis. It pierces the vastus lateralis, so it can reach the back of the thigh where it can partake in the cruciate anastomosis. And this anastomosis is just below the head of the femur. Sorry, my apologies, just below the neck of the femur. Trochanteric anastomosis, hip joint, supply to the greater trochanter. Cruciate anastomosis, and that too on the back of the thigh after piercing the vastus lateralis muscle. Hopefully all of this is clear. This is the medial circumflex. We won't go into detail about it. It basically passes between the pectineus and the psoas major. It has three branches, an ascending, a descending, and an acetabular. The acetabular, as the name suggests, would go towards the hip joint. The ascending would be ascending, the descending would descend. And all of these branches together, what do? They basically participate in supply to the adductor muscles and the head of the femur. And then we have the perforating branches that basically what they do is they perforate, they pierce the adductor magnus to basically participate in a longitudinal anastomosis of sorts on the posterior side of the thigh. Hopefully this made sense. If it did, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment.